what Robert Mueller was trying to defend, in all fairness to Robert Mueller, whether his performance was a bad one or a good one, I think everybody understands that. I think everybody understands what's going on. There was no defense to this ridiculous hoax, this witch hunt that's been going on for a long time, pretty much from the time I came down on the escalator with our First Lady. And it's a disgrace what happened, but I think today proved a lot to everybody. In fact, some of my biggest opponents wrote things today that I wouldn't have believed they would have written, and I appreciate that they did that. This has been a very bad thing for our country, and despite everything we've been through, it's been an incredible 2.5 years for our country. The administration, our president, me, we've done a great job. We've got the strongest stock market, the best unemployment numbers, the most number of people ever working in the history of our country right now, almost 160 million. Our military has been rebuilt and getting even stronger. We've done a great job, and we've done it under this terrible phony cloud, a phony cloud, that's all it was. And they should be ashamed of themselves, absolutely ashamed. And you know who knew it was a phony cloud more than anyone else? Was Schiff and Nadler and Schumer and Pelosi, every one of them. They all knew it was phony stuff. And you look at the polls are showing it maybe more than anybody else or anything else. And I've had my best polls, and I don't say why, but people see what's gone on in our country with this whole thing. I've been going through it for 3 years. For 3 years, all nonsense. So this was a very big day for our country. This was a very big day for the Republican Party. And you could say it was a great day for me, but I don't even like to say that. It's great. I'll tell you what, I very much appreciate those incredible warriors that you watched today on television, Republicans, that defended something and defended something very powerful, very important, because they were really defending our country. More than anything else, they were defending our country. But they were warriors, and they've been warriors for a long time. And everybody knew it was a hoax, especially the Democrats. I wish we could be a fly on the wall in those rooms where the Democrats would go in and talk before and after meetings, and they'd be laughing and smiling and say, can you believe that we're getting away with this? But in the end, they didn't get away with it, yeah. So there is no such a thing. He didn't have the right to exonerate. And you know, it's very interesting. People mention exoneration. That was something where he totally folded because he never had the right to exonerate. And it was covered very well by Congressman Turner and put to a conclusion. We were, if you take a look at not only the report, beyond the report, take a look at not what he said, but what he was forced to say. And even your networks and your network and your network and every one of these networks, they put up their hands. You know, we had a couple of cases actually we had about 6 cases where they asked our people, our representatives, television networks, please don't come in tonight. We're not going to be doing much on it. And the reason they're not, because it's over. Go ahead.
Are you concerned you could be indicted out of office? If you were Brett talking so much about WikiLeaks, given Robert Mueller called that problematic.
So WikiLeaks is a hoax just like everything else. And all of those problems having to do with crime were the biggest hoax of all. It was a witch hunt. A total witch hunt. And when you saw Robert Mueller's statement, the earlier statement, and then he did a recap, he did a correction later on in the afternoon, and you know what that correction was, and you still ask the question. You know why? Because you're fake news, and you're one of the most. And let me just tell you, the fact that you even asked that question, you're fake news, because you know what? He totally corrected himself in the afternoon, and you know that just as well as anybody. Caitlin.
Your answers were not generally truthful. What was not
I don't know whose answers weren't. I guess his answers weren't, because if you look, the whole report, you take a look at what they did, some of the things that he didn't even know about, some of the things he didn't even know what was going on. But you know, in the end, what he did, he actually probably came through for himself. The performance was obviously not very good. He had a lot of problems, but what he showed more than anything else is that this whole thing has been 3 years of embarrassment and waste of time for our country. And you know what? The Democrats thought they could win an election like this. I think they hurt themselves very badly for 2020. Did I what? I don't know. I really don't know. I never had, don't know. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, frankly, whether or not he did, it wouldn't matter to me, because he did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong because it's so unimportant. It was always a very unimportant meeting. It was only important to the fake news. Go ahead. No, he didn't say that. Again, you're fake news and you're right at the top of the list also. Let me just tell you, go back to what, it's not what he said. Read his correction. Read his correction. If you read his correction, you'll find out. That's why people don't deal with you, because you're not an honest reporter. John? John, they are devastated. The Democrats lost so big today. Their party is in shambles right now. They've got the squad leading their party. They are a mess, where even you take a look at Scribe and you take a look at so many of the people that were the most outspoken, and they say this was a devastating day for the Democrats. And you know it, John, and everybody else knows it. This was a devastating day for the Democrats. No, a very dumb and very unfair question. Because if you look at his correction, he took that totally out of play. He made his decision based on the facts, not based on some rule. So you shouldn't even ask that question, because you know it's a phony. Go ahead. The Democrats had nothing, and now they have less than nothing. And I think they're going to lose the 2020 election very big, including congressional seats, because of the path that they chose. Now, who knows where it goes? From what I hear, they're giving up. But I just say, I know them too well. They'll never give up. They'll go back into the room and they'll try and figure something out. This whole thing has been, honestly, it's been collusion. It's been collusion with the media. It's been collusion with other countries. This has been a disaster for the Democrats, and I think we're going to win bigger than ever. Now, I'm going to West Virginia, one of the great states, a state that's doing, if you look at percentage up, I think it's number 1 or number 2 in the country, and nobody would have believed that. West Virginia is doing great. So I'm going to West Virginia. We did have a big case today. You know, we won the asylum case in Washington, which frankly, you should be asking about that, because that's the real deal. I can't believe how nice you are today. Go ahead, give me a question.
My question, Mr. President, is that even though he backed away from it, you actually resolved a good faith indictment for him?
No, because we did nothing wrong. The answer is very simple. Nothing was done wrong. This was all a big hoax. And if you look at it today, nothing was done wrong. Now, I believe what you're going to find a lot of things that were done very wrong, but that's going on now. That's something you haven't been writing about, and that has to do with the other side. That has to do with a thing called investigate the investigators. Let's see what happens. That's going to be very interesting.